Hello and welcome to this week's GG Weekend Watch, where we have been reunited after we've had a brief hiatus, but the three of us are back together again. Another huge thank you to Rob Plumbridge for being the resident super sub yet again, and for all of his hard work for the last couple of weeks as well. But we are back talking all things Cheltenham. Fingers crossed we actually get both days of Cheltenham this week, with Friday and Saturday, of course, with the frost at the minute. We are in a precarious position, but hopefully all the action does go ahead. And we also get Doncaster as well. And I'll be looking forward to these races with Andrew Mount and Daryl Carter, who again had more winners on last week's show, because Strong Leader won at 2-1 for Daryl. Authorised Speed won so impressively at 1-3 for Daryl. Gets Keel placed at 4-1 for Daryl, and Percussion placed at 10-1 for Andrew, and Edward Stone won at 5-1 for Daryl, which was a fair shout in that race, really. So well done, lads. And we'll kick on then with this week's action, because we begin with the listed Summit Juvenile Hurdle for 3-year-olds and over 2 miles and half a furlong at 1:30 at Doncaster. Lots of unknowns in here with these unexposed youngsters, Andrew. So, youngster yourself, who would you like to side with in this, please?
Yeah, tricky old one, isn't it? Because 6 of these are declared at Cheltenham in the opener on Saturday. So Cheltenham's loss will be Doncaster's gain if this meeting survives and Cheltenham call the hairs off. So it's very difficult to sort of know the final makeup of the race. I mean, at the moment, it's Nusret heads the market for Joseph O'Brien. Had just the one run. I mean, it was impressive enough. I was thinking if he was any good, he'd be running against Irish horses in Ireland, wouldn't he, rather than coming across and taking on this lot. I wasn't usually enamoured with him at the price. Scriptwriter, was the one that I thought would get me through the place point in that Cheltenham race. With Perseus Way, the one he beat last time out, is one since at Leicester. That could run at Cheltenham if that goes ahead. And what Milton Harris is like with his juveniles. They just keep turning up and they just keep winning. So not really a race that I want to have a bet in. Churchill Lad I was half interested in at a bigger price, but I'll just go Scriptwriter. But if Daryl's got a more confident pick, I'm quite happy to bow to his better judgment.
Well, we'll see if that's the case. But like I say, at the minute, Scriptwriter, but do be aware of those double declarations and entries for these horses in here as well. Daryl, do you have a stronger opinion?
No, not really, to be honest. It's difficult to know what to expect this weekend. Like Andrew said about the double entries and obviously the ground as well. If it does freeze up and then it gets all cut up and sticky and hard work, and it's very difficult to know what to expect. But I thought Nurserat was the right market leader, to be honest, for Joseph O'Brien. I was quite impressed with the debut performance. Travelled quite sweetly, bit keen early on. Jumped a bit novice-y, once pulled out from the mid-pack, just picked up really nicely in the closing stages. Time was okay of the race. And there's a few horses in the field that actually do link in with, the horses you want it to link in with in Ireland in the juvenile division, really. So I thought this horse was open to improvement, but must remember this horse was running over 1.6 miles in the Melrose. So I just wonder if 2 miles might be on the sharp side in a truly run race. But we'll see. I've got no strong opinion, but Nusret for the sake of the pod, mate.
Yeah, so like I say, again, if you had to have a selection in here, Nusret or Nusre, whichever pronunciation we're going with for him, then potentially he might be the angle to go with. But do be aware of those double entries for these horses. Right, we're into a proper betting heat this time, at least now, because we head to Cheltenham for another 2.5 mile Premier Handicap Chase. This time it's the December Gold Cup Handicap Chase for 4-year-olds and over 2 mile 4.5 furlongs at 150, where Il Ridotto heads the betting as the 5-1 market leader. Very competitive, Daryl. Who do you like?
Yeah, I like a few, to be honest.
You can have a few.
Like, you can make it. I can make a case for Giacomo, first time visor at 40-1. I think he's been tried over too far recently, and coming back to this trip, he won first time cheap pieces on. So first time visor's interesting. He's got 2 wins and a second to his name in December. And I thought he travelled all right for a long way at Newbury. So I'll give him a good mention at 40-1. Fugitive is a bit of a monkey, I think. He hung in behind at Cheltenham last time, but I find it very hard to see him out of the frame, the way he finished that race off that day. Now, he has done that a few times before, sort of hung in behind rivals rather than going on. But on his day, he's a very smart horse. I think he's well ahead of the handicapper. He's around 20-1, so he's got to have a bit of a shout. the one I've come down on is the one that I'm oh Christ, been stuck on this.
They ran the car crash.
car crash.
No. It's not. I'm happy to leave Dayran now. I just think I've got to the point where I think Dayran's just maybe just not good enough. So I'm happy to leave Dayran. It's Coconut Splash, the horse I've been on for God knows how long. It cost me a fortune. This horse has. But I'd liked the run last time behind into Overdrive. This is the first time they've actually chucked him into a real decent pot. He's been running in these novice events where your handicap rating can't be raised if you don't win. You know, if you finish second, etc. And look, he's killing me. He's killing me wallet. But I'm pretty sure there is a pot in him if he puts it all together. And I don't want to miss out on him. I think. The way I sort of went through this race was like, who would I be most annoyed about who won and I wasn't on? And it was Coconut Splash. So, again, you can make cases for all of these, even those down at bigger prices. I think 5 of the last 6 ran in the Paddy Power in November. 5 of the last 6 winners of this race. I think you want to be carrying less than 11 stone 7. Now, he fits one of those. Never been to Cheltenham before, but I've got to take a chance at a double figure price. I've just got to, and then I can hold my hands up and say I was completely wrong about him, but not yet.
This is just a race littered with horses that are going to give you a nightmare, Daryl. I want to be a fly on the wall watching this race at 150, because I think both Andrew and I, then as soon as you teed it up, we just thought, Daryl and a car crash yet again. He surely has to be on him. And sorry, Daryl, I do not want to see you miserable ever, but I will never stop laughing if that horse goes and wins this time. But you are sticking with the horse you have been stuck with, though, with Coconut Splash to come good this time around. So wish you every luck then with him. Andrew, who do you like?
Yeah, not a great deal, to be perfectly honest. The only bet I'm probably going to have is just another couple of quid each way on Storm Control, a horse you and I both liked.
Yes.
When he ran in the Paddy Power Gold Cup. He finished 8th of 16 that day, ran a lot better than his finishing position suggested. Now, his Betfair SP was 128, so just over 127 to 1. He's traded at 5.6, just over 9 to 2 in running, to win the race. And there were times where you thought, well, he might win, and he's certainly going to be in the first 4 or 5 or whatever your each way terms were. And then all of a sudden he's got tired and he's faded out of it. But he looks like he's going to face less pace pressure this time around. It's a slightly less competitive contest numerically, as well as in terms of the ability of his rivals. So maybe he'll hold on and finish in the first 4 this time. Of the others who ran in that race, Il Ridotto, who was 4th, I thought he was a fair enough inclusion for the place pot. Stolen Silver, having unseated, I wasn't so keen on. And a Warlord didn't run in that race, but in the Holden Gold Cup at Exeter, he needed that run. The ground was quicker than ideal. He could have done with some rain, but he was one I wanted to be with second time out. I mean, the chances are this meeting will be abandoned and we won't have to worry about the ground for him. But I think going back up in trip's going to suit him. The Giant Panda's favourite chocolates, Frero Bamboo. Again, you think, does he need it softer? Possibly.
Yeah, does he need deep ground? Does he?
Yeah, that's it. But it's one of those ones where you think, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if he ran a good race. I mean, Coconut Splash, my first thought was, dismiss him. He's had 10 runs under rules. He's only won a Weatherby Maiden Hurdle when odds on. But when you look at his form, including his point form, and he's had 10 or more runners, first, second by a nose, fell when going well. So, like Daryl says, he hasn't been in one of these sort of big field, strong pace scenarios over fences, and it could just bring about improvement for him. So I thought he had a squeak, and Daryl and Carjack is going to finish however many places you've backed, he'll finish one off.
That's very true. That is.
Earlier this week, I tipped Fugitive for the 2 mile chase on this card, so it's interesting to see him coming for this longer contest. I'm not sure about. I mean, there's a question mark over his stamina, but then at 20 to 1, there's going to be a question mark of some description. So you couldn't rule him out either. But I'll go Storm Control each way for the purposes of this video.
Oh, yeah, siding with our 50 to 1 poke from last time out. I actually napped him. I just lost my mind. But when he was swinging into the home straight last time. But I agree with the pair of you, with 1 horse each that you've both mentioned there. I mean, well, to be honest with you, I landed on 3 originally, but I think the 2 I'm going to side with are the 2 bigger price horses, because the shortest price of the 3 that I liked was Stolen Silver. But I say of the biggest prices, Daryl, you like Fugitive, 20-1. Dear old Storm Control, I can't leave him after that run last time out, 25-1. But as you can probably guess from my selections, as you said, Daryl, I'm keen to side with that Paddy Power Gold Cup form from last time out, which has been the way to go in recent years in this race. The track horses who ran well enough in that contest for a long way. Now, of course, Stolen Silver did unseat in that one, still thereabouts, that really tricky fence at the bottom of the hill. He just got it all wrong. I don't know how he only unseated and didn't flip in that, to be honest. But he could still well have featured in the finish. So for all it's not ideal coming here on the back of a non-completion next year name for your next start, I still think this course and distance should suit him far better. Then I also love Storm Control on the back of that solid run.
Is he definitely coming here? Is he, Kate?
Who's that? Storm Control?
Yeah, because I've got him. I fancied him for a selection at Doncaster, just because if you look at the record, third time out after a 200-day break or more of Storm Control, I think he's won every single year third time out.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, it is, isn't it? He needs those few runs to get into him, and also the pace of actually working his way. But like I say, he is also entered in the handicap chase on the same day, on the Saturday up at Doncaster at 2:05. That race is. So yeah, you do have to just to bear that in mind. But I'm hoping he's going to come here. He's got the first time visor set to be applied as well, so he'll probably try and go even quicker on the front end, and hopefully he'll get that uncontested lead. So if he goes here, like I say, just to pay attention to that, hopefully off this £2 low mark he'll have a chance. And Fugitive again is too big a price for me to ignore. And I mean, he didn't run in the Paddy Power Gold Cup last time out, but he did run a very fair race for all that. He was hanging to his left at Cheltenham in that handicap chase when he was second last time out. £2 higher mark should really suit his running style this race though. But for the purposes of a podcast, I've got to go Storm Control if he does take his chance then within this. Right, we move on to the next race at Cheltenham, which is the Grade 2 International Hurdle for 4-year-olds and over 2 mile 1 at 2:25. Epatante heads the betting as the 3-2 favourite, whatever that is. But she has 4 rivals to contend with here, Andrew. So how are you playing this?
Taking on Epatante. I've had some luck in this race in recent years, following the 5-year-old angle. I mean, you just back every 5-year-old in the race this century, you'd made a very good profit. Last time out, winners do well. Horses who raced within the last 4 weeks do well. And an 8-year-old Epatante who was beaten last time out, I can take this one on. There's 3 5-year-olds. One of them, Zofanian, if Cheltenham goes ahead on Friday, might run there. He's 100-1 for this. The obvious 2 are First Street and I Like to Move It. Now, I Like to Move It is probably going to be favourite or just about favourite for this race. You could argue that Greatwood win flattered him slightly because he's gone from the front. It's a very narrow configuration in the closing stages. There was, because of omitted hurdles, there wasn't much pace in the race, and it was really hard to get into it from off the base. I'll include him in exactors, but the one I'm going to go with is First Street, who after sort of 1 or 2 false dawn seems to be finally sort of getting his act together now. Goes well in small fields, seems to handle any conditions, and I'm so strong on the 5-year-old angle in this race. I mean, there was one of them last year, Guard Your Dreams, won at 5-1. 2 years ago, there was one of them, Song for Someone. He won sort of 10s into 6s, and I'm not totally convinced by Epatante. Full stop. So I think we could be getting the favourite beat here. I think he's 6-4 favourite at the moment. Knappers Hill, it's hard to argue with his strike rate, particularly when he gets anything other than soft ground. But again, he's a 6-year-old. And this is, I know he won a Grade 2 last time, but it wasn't exactly competitive, was it? Beating So Royal is about 100 years old at Wincampton. So, yeah, I think First Street and to beat I Like to Move It, there's your exactor.
Oh, I like it a lot. So the 5-year-old angle that Andrew's siding, we've taken on Epatante at the head of the market. Daryl, are you thinking along similar lines, or how are you playing it?
No, Epatante will win this. Epatante. There's not many horses in the last, I think, since my tent or yours that have dropped from Grade 1 company down into this. So I'm thinking that I'm hoping that sort of trend will be busted here. I didn't think she ran at all badly behind Constitution Hill. She could only really do what she could do there. She sort of clattered the third last as well and landed on all 4s and then had to pick up again. And Aidan Coleman wasn't overly hard on her. I think they knew, on the day, I think they knew that they were going to sort of leave Constitution Hill alone a little bit. I think that was just a nice prep spin for this. I think that this was the target as opposed to the fighting fifth last time, because I think it was all about Constitution Hill and they just wanted to get him out and get him going. So I don't think she was there to give him an absolute race, if that makes sense. And I think she'll be well suited by this new course. I think it's the first run on the new course. The way the hurdles are laid out on here is slightly different to the old one, and I think it will suit. I think she'll come there swinging on the bridle. And I think she'll jump the last and quicken away.
She's raced here before, Daryl.
She has she?
Yeah, she ran. Yeah, she was
the new course.
Got done in the mares hurdle. Finished 9th as the 15.08 favourite.
That was the first time Hood though, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, that was the first time.
Yeah.
Hood. Sorry, yeah, she has raced it. Yeah, first time Hood. That was all those years ago.
She should have won if she didn't have that one.
Yeah.
Well, no. I mean, I went through this with her when I was tipping her for the champion hurdle. Everyone made the same like comment saying that she couldn't win because she didn't handle Cheltenham that day. She just wasn't right that day. I'm convinced by it, and she's proven that since. So that really doesn't bother me. I'd be more keen to say that she's taken on those who probably can't run in handicaps because their weights are too high, and they're in this as opposed to horses that are really progressive. Like I like to move it last time. Normally the Greatwood is a really good race to follow. You know, since then the 3rd, the 4th, I think the 6th has been beaten since. And I just think it was a poor race this year. All the hurdles were removed. It didn't have the depth it had previous years before you looked at the race. First Street, I thought he had quite a hard race 14 days ago. At Newbury, to be honest. I know he was giving away lumps of weight, but again, I'm not a massive fan of these weight carrying performances. I think they're more forced to give away weight as opposed to what connections would choose them to do. I just think everything's set up right for Epatante here, and I'll be very disappointed if she's not winning, to be honest. Very disappointed.
Oh, like it then. Yeah, like I say, Epatante's over the 2 mile one on the new course just to bring that extra bit of stamina. She's getting a bit older, probably into play then as well. So yeah, Daryl will be very disappointed if she didn't win as a 3-2 market leader. Oh, I hate saying that.
6-4.
Right. Pardon?
6-4.
Yeah, why is it down to 3-2? I hate this.
Oh,
anyway, all manners of new prices that they're pulling out from their so-and-so's nowadays. Right, we're back to Doncaster though for a 0 to 120 handicap chase for 4-year-olds and over 2 mile 3 at 240, which is a very open affair, but probably a weaker renewal of this race than we're used to. So perhaps it won't take too much winning, but who do you like, Daryl?
I like the Fav, this French horse for James Hewitt. I'll let you say the name.
No, thank you.
Heroic de Mold, I think. Yeah, I quite taken with the first start in Britain last time at Newcastle, beaten by Hidden Commander, who's since won again. I think it was just a typical French performance. You know, very keen early on, head bowed low jumper. But I just thought the 5-year-old would improve a good deal for it. Gone up £4 in the handicap, but this is a terrible race really for to be shown on TV. But I suspect Brian Hughes will get this one over the line.
Yeah, so yeah. Oh, you landed me in it to try and say his name again. Heroic de Mold at 4 to 1 there for Brian Hughes. For Daryl, Andrew, who do you like in this Saturday televised race?
Well, you might be saying, thank goodness this race is on, because when Cheltenham's abandoned, this will probably be the best race we've got on Saturday. So I'll go with Fate Champetre for Rose Dobbin. You can back her handicap as blind at Doncaster and make a profit. She had a 7 to 1 winner, Okavango Delta, earlier on in the season with her latest handicapper to run at Donny, and I thought this one would have can be forgiven that Kelso comeback run when only 7th. I know he was well supported that day, but it was his first run for almost a year, and although he has run well first time out previously, I think it was just a bit too long a gap, and I'll take him. I think he's 9 to 1, but it's not a particularly confident selection, not a race I wanted to spend a lot of time on, though I'm sure I will be on Saturday when Cheltenham's off.
Stop with that pessimism, please. It's all going to be on. They've got the frost covers down, and they may sacrifice the Saturday for the Friday.
That's reverse psychology, you see. The more I say it, the more likelihood there is of Cheltenham being on.
True. The anti-jinx approach. Yeah, I like it quite a lot. Then hopefully we will get it anyway, and we won't be just completely left with a few of these lower grade Doncaster handicaps then to have to face. I like Full of Light though in this race. I think he's been teed up for this, and he remains a fair price to me at 7 to 1. He does obviously need to bounce back from 2 lesser efforts, but he remains well treated for me here on a mark of 117, given £3 back for his reappearance last time out, which very much looked like a reappearance at Exeter. He ran against the reopposing Wicked West. He is a hit and a miss character, but I'm hoping his prominent running style will be seen to a better effect kept around this track. And as I say, this race is a weaker renewal than we expect. So on the side of a horse more towards the head of the handicap, because I think that bit of class can count. First time, tongue tie, full of light for me. Back to Cheltenham now, which we hopefully will get for the Grade 2 Albert Bartlett Novices Hurdle, otherwise known as the Bristol Hurdle, for 4-year-olds and over 3 miles at 3 o'clock. Where again we have weird price at 3-2 at the head of a market about with all being caught. 6 declared runners here. Andrew, who wins it for you?
Yeah, another race that's been a good one for 5-year-olds recently, with 8 the last 10 winning, and in the same period, last 10 years, I think the 6-year-old contingent just won from 29 or won from 26. I wasn't massively taken by Outlaw Peter. It was a really weak race. He won at Exeter last time out. So I was just looking at the, I said, we've all been caught for the Twiston Davis yard. Now, he was second favourite earlier in the week when I first looked at this. Since then, I think he's hardened up to favourite. He won his point. He won a bumper at Newbury on his rules debut. And then last time out, I thought he ran well here over 2 miles 5, shaping as though he needed to go up in trip. That was a Grade 2 contest. It's always significant, I think, when trainers, particularly, not your Willie Mullins and Gordon Elliott's in the world, put one for their hurdles debut straight into graded company. And to finish third in a Grade 2, first time out over hurdles, was a good performance. It's going to relish his extra distance, and I think he's going to take some beating. So we've all been caught. I'll go with Thomas Moore for the exactor if you're looking for a payoff at a bigger price than 6-4. Say he's the only other 5-year-old is trading at a single figure price.
Yeah, Andrew always giving us betting angles then and other ways to play these races. So Thomas Moore potentially for the exacta, but very keen on We've All Been Caught, who's a horse that I think Paul Ferguson from Jumpers to Follow has been talking up quite a lot with this lad as well. So hopefully that confidence will be justified on multiple parts. Daryl, who do you like?
Yeah, I completely agree with Andrew, and with the forecast shout as well. One thing about Thomas Moore is, right, is I was at Wincanton when he won the other day, and I fancied Last Royale. They went so hard. They went so hard for the final 2 mile circuit. They were quicker than the they were almost quicker than the 2 mile race on the card earlier on. And all the horses that day, other than him, came home absolutely knackered. They were like walking over the line, and he came trotting back in like he'd done a piece of work. It was quite impressive. The time before as well at Worcester, he ran really well. But I don't quite know if he's going to be up to the level that We've All Been Caught can reach. I quite liked that run behind Herms Allen last time here at Cheltenham. And like Andrew said, just to pitch him in at a Grade 2 on his hurdles debut, I thought was quite a bold move from Nigel Twiston Davies. So I expect him to improve a good chunk for going up in distance. And this course will suit him better. He got a little bit outpaced on the sharp turn into the home straight on the old course last time. And I think the course will suit him better. So there's lots to like about him. And I think he'll take a world of beating.
Oh, I like it. World of beating, and for the pair of you to agree on the exacta. So everyone out there with the bingo cards ticking off everything then as you've both been speaking. Like it a lot in the 3 o'clock at Cheltenham. Back to Doncaster now for their final race, which, dare I say, is another bit of a run-of-the-mill handicap. This time a 0 to 115 novices handicap hurdle for 3-year-olds and over 2 mile 3 at 3:15. 6 runners here. Daryl, how are you playing this one?
Sorry, what time is this, Kate?
This is 3:15.
Sorry, I got a little bit confused. Yeah, I didn't like this race. I couldn't even find an angle of a horse I thought would even go close, to be honest. It sounds silly. Like, I think this Ewood Park is probably going to turn out to be the most talented horse out of these, but I couldn't back him after the last day. And I just really didn't like anything at all. I couldn't make a case for anything. I'm very, very rarely can I not make a case for anything, but I just couldn't. So that's probably why I didn't remember what time it was, Kate, because I thought it was a blah race.
I don't blame you for not remembering what time it was. I had to double check myself. It was definitely on the schedule, to be honest. Even when you've just said it then, I still had to double take that. I have got this right, haven't I? Yeah, our top rated in this 111 Water Grange Jack, but yeah, very difficult to get enthused about this unless you are, Andrew.
Yeah, it's really hard to discuss this race without swearing a lot, because it is an absolute bag of. Anyway, you get the point. But there is an angle into this race, which is to oppose the current favourite, Melo Blanc, the Sophie Leach runner, not because. This one's been ridden by inexperienced conditional jockey Roisin Leach claiming 7. But you look at that race in which he was third of 16 at Hexham last time. That was a real pace collapse race. And the first four all came from well back, 20 to 1, 9 to 2, 33 to 1, 13 to 2. Now, the fourth in that race caught its slip, was a 4 to 1 shot when finishing unplaced, third of 7 at Wetherby next time. The winner, Lure House, it was 100 to 30 when going to Kelso, finished 6th of 9, beating 22 lengths. Now, the runner-up, PF Bubbles, is due to run at Hexham tomorrow and is 7 to 2 for that race. So if that one is it tomorrow, might be no, sorry, it was due to run early this week. I think
meant to
Hexham
run
was
yesterday at
called. Yeah,
Hexham.
sorry, Hexham was called. But yeah, I think the first four, because of the pace collapse, because of where they come from in the race, I think they were all flattered, and that's the reason I'm taking on Melo Blanc. I'm not sure what with. Maybe I'll just lay him win in place rather than find an alternative. But yeah, so maybe a bit more work on this race needed, and we can find a bet when we've had the chance to do that.
Yeah. Well, best of luck anyway for trying to find the bet in this race. But at the minute, it's just a case of taking on Melo Blanc at the head of the market. Hopefully more betting angles in the next race, though, because our final scheduled race to cover is a mare's handicap hurdle for 4-year-olds and over 2 mile 4 at 3:35 back at Cheltenham. So Andrew, the ladies' man, we know how much you like these men's races, so it makes sense that you should lead us off in this final race, please.
Yeah, you know me, I do enjoy these races. We've got last year, Lucy Wadham was bidding for a third straight win in this race. Martello Sky was the winner last year. And this one's got a fantastic record in small fields. I think it's 9 or fewer runners, something like 7 wins from 10 starts and a couple of seconds in there as well. Bit disappointing behind Miranda at Kempton last time, though Miranda's one of those who just always seems to win in mares only company and struggles when she's taking on the boys. So perhaps that wasn't such a bad effort after all. But I think I'm going to side just with Nina the Terrier, another one who is a horse who proves very difficult to beat when she's taking on her own sex. And the last time she did, she was coming there cruising when falling in Molly Ollie's Wishes and Martello's race at Wetherby. Since then, she's ran in the Great Wood, and she came from off the pace, sort of further back anyway than certainly the winner and 1 or 2 others. I thought that was a fair enough effort at 20 to 1 to finish 5th in that, even though she was beating the best part of 20 lengths. And going back against her own sex, if her jumping holds up, she has fallen twice now over hurdles, which is a bit of a worry. I thought she had the greatest chance. So yeah, Martello Sky and Nina the Terrier were the 2 I liked. I'll just come down on the side of Nina the Terrier.
Oh, complete stole my thunder again then here. I mean, we're in weird agreement this week, so I'm in total agreement about Nina the Terrier. I was hoping you were going to come down on the side of Martello Sky then just to free her up, but I like the confidence.
I can
Sorry,
swap
Daryl,
if you want.
just to jump in there, 5 to 1. Yeah, hopefully she will be the case, because I know it hasn't gone entirely to plan for her this season, but this race for me is just ideal for her. And like you say, I know she was well enough beaten in the Great Wood, and we spoke about the Great Wood form there earlier on with Daryl, the fact that they had the obstacles omitted and such like, and it is a bit dubious form, but from what she showed, I thought she ran a really solid race there all the same anyway. And finishing 5th in the Great Wood, the exact same position that Dame de Compagnie came into this race in 3 years ago, back in 2019, to win this race back then as well, off of a £2 higher mark than Nina the Terrier is running off of. So she comes here on the back of a good run, back against her own sex should suit, and she should be given every chance, given £1 back for that last run. So 2 in the Nina the Terrier camp. Daryl, can you make it a hat trick?
No, I'll worry about the trip for her. 2.5 miles, stepping up and trip. I didn't think she looked like she wanted to step up and trip last time, but I suppose it was a bit of a test as well, wasn't it? Anyway, with the hurdles removed, so you might be all right. I came down on Martello Sky. I know the run last time behind Miranda wasn't great, right? But if you just ignored her second run out after a break, she almost bounces every single season. So she was beaten this year by Miranda. Last year she was beaten 9 lengths by Brewing Up a Storm and then bounced back to win at Cheltenham. The year before she was beaten in the she was beaten second time out after a 63-day break when running at the Cheltenham Festival in a mare's novice, but then she bounced back again at Cheltenham in the April meeting. The year before she was beaten in a bumper second time out, but then bounced back at Fakenham. So, like, she wins first time out and she wins third time out. The second
Were those all against the boys, though, or were they any of those in Mare's company, Daryl?
That bumper was a list of mares.
The defeats. True.
Or in big fields as well, because that's another thing. She's never won in a field of more than 9 runners. So
yeah, well, they were in, like, for example, the field of 6 they were in. She was beaten and then bounced back next time out. Field of 10. Yeah, the other two were slightly bigger fields, 10 and 15. But she just tends to, I don't know if she just maybe, she's one of these horses that sort of gives everything she has when she goes to the track. And therefore, her first appearance after a break, therefore, takes a little bit more out of her. And she just needs that sort of next run, and then she's back going again. But it's some pattern when you look through her form. And I just thought she showed a real good attitude in this race last year to hold off Indefatigable. I thought Aidan gave her a great ride. He's back on again today. So yeah, I thought she ticked a lot of boxes. I kind of thought that Martello Sky and Indefatigable probably should have been towards the top of the market, because the market does love this this sort of potential angle with these young horses coming through. So I think both her and Indefatigable are slightly overpriced.
Oh, and Indefatigable as well at 8-1. Then how can you not like Indefatigable? She's been a very loyal servant to all of us over the years, anyway, hasn't she? But that is a real pattern, like say with Martello Sky, third run out, so runs well on a reappearance, then almost bounces on the second start and comes back on her third. Okay, that's made me nervous about taking her on now, but you and Andrew both in agreement about her then as well. Now, Daryl, I'll throw it back to you, please, for anything from anywhere else.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, I can't believe some of the earlier cards are not being shown. Actually, the 115 I like at Cheltenham. I like Editor de Geet. I quite like the comeback run last time. I think this is much easier. I thought he really ought to be running in the December in the big race of the day, but he's not. Yeah. So unless they're sort of handicapping him, I think he should have a big shout. I don't think he'll have too much pace pressure in the 115, so I think he'll go well. The 450 at Wolverhampton, not normally my style to go over there, but pocket the profit. I'm going to get a bloody win out of this all sooner or later. Just nabbed last time by Treacherous, who's well handicapped, bouncing back to form, and he pulled nicely clear of the remainder, and I think he's going to go in. So I think he'll have a big shout. Stonific runs tomorrow. 307 Hereford, horse of Ollie Murphy's. He had absolutely no chance of getting into the race, dropped right out the rear of the field, and it was like terribly slowly run. Made a really nice move in the mid part of the race, but just give the leaders too much rope, and they just quickened away. He was never going to get involved. So this is his second start after the break. He should go well on the 307 at Hereford.
Yeah, that's drop him in, isn't it?
Drop him in,
yeah. So quite a fun name then for how he was ridden last time out. That's quite ironic, really. But yeah, so 3 bets then for Daryl across 3 different cards on Saturday. Andrew, for you, anything from anywhere else?
328 at Newcastle. One More Dream got no luck in running at Lingfield earlier this week when we're in a difficult draw in stall 10. And he goes back to Newcastle, where he's unbeaten in 2 starts over course and distance. So probably about 7-2, 4-1, I think.
Perfect. Yeah, I haven't got prices there now, but One More Dream then in the 328 up at Newcastle. And Andrew, I'll throw it back to you, please, for your nap.
I was tempted by First Street. I'm going to go Cheltenham 3 o'clock. We've all been caught.
Ooh, good. Yeah, well, the confidence between the pair of you two, Daryl, probably cursing you.
Shorter price than I normally go for.
Yeah, but confidence behind it, therefore. Daryl, has he just stolen your thunder, or are you going elsewhere for your nap?
Hang on, I've got Daryl's nap in here.
That's going to be Dayrad the card.
Who's in it?
That'll be Dayrad.
Drum roll.
I forgot to put it in.
I'll tell you what, last week when you did my nap, and it was, who was it? Dave Sharava. That was the actual highest pointed tip on the column, so technically you kind of got that right last week. This week it's going to be Epatante this week. Short price, but I think if she's not beating these, I think that we could start to see the demise of Epatante.
Oh goodness,
we've already seen it.
Oh, fighting talk there, yeah. And you both sided with horses at 3-2, so well done for getting me to say that time and time again. I appreciate it.
Wasted everybody's time, haven't we?
Exactly, yeah. So thanks so much. I appreciate that.
What are you napping, Kate?
I'm going Nina the Terrier, because thank God the pair of you two have both left that race alone. Cue Martello Sky going and winning, so that's enough to put her off. I'm going Nina the Terrier in the 335 at Cheltenham, not at 3-2, thank goodness, about 5-1, I think she is. So that is everything from us for this week. Fingers crossed it's not all in vain, all of the lads' work, and we do get some action this weekend. Hopefully Cheltenham goes ahead on Friday and Saturday, and then we have Doncaster. Otherwise, thank you to the lads for all of their hard work. Thank you for watching, and we'll speak to you again next week.